bit today about how to do some recovery to tennis elbow or excessive strain in the forearm that could happen in a repetitive stress sport such as tennis or other sports where you're using a lot of compression and repetitive movement. In these strains, often the recovery is a part that gets skipped over. So I'm going to show you first just a simple little exercise to start to give a range of motion to this part, both as a warm-up and a recovery afterwards. You start by putting the points of your wrists together, and you're going to want to see if you can keep each point touching itself as you curl the arms around. And as you roll around each point of the wrist, there will be a circular motion that begins to happen not only at the wrist but up through the forearms, the elbows, and the shoulders. And if you would like to increase the motion, it can start to go up and you can let the body follow it like a wave. It's another beautiful way to also add breath that can take an inhale, exhale. At some point you can reverse and pour it back into you, which oddly enough does a little bit of different motion to the arms. You would think it would be the same, but something else happens. So this is a nice way to start getting some articulation in this area. Another thing that you can do to yourself is the juncture of the elbow is often the place where a lot of tension happens. So if you can find with your own fingers the place that's tender, and just use your own thumb and fingers just to give a little pressure right there. And while you're holding on, begin to play with your fingers. There are a lot of bones in the hand, and if I start to move them, I actually see how every movement is playing underneath where I'm touching. And as I press into it, I can start to open up the tissue of my arm just by pressing and playing with my hand. And that's already going to start to open up the compression that happens from excess squeezing of the racket. The other way that I can do this, I can take it into a greater area, follow me, is I can put my hand on the wall. And all the bones of my hand, 26 bones here of the wrist and each knuckle, as I start to play with touching in, I'm going to see if I can find the communication network that as I let that touch, that it starts to open up and I feel certain movements that feel like water. I don't want to move repetitively. I want to be curious and explore and see if I can feel how my finger is connected to my shoulder, how my wrist communicates to my elbow. And just by playing through the pressure of the wall and turning my body, turning my elbow, finding a new spot in my hand, I open all the tissue here and the arm feels very different. It's alive, it's pulsating, and now some of that can start to let go. You might need this, but you also need to not hold on to it in your everyday life. How do I let it go? Thank you.
Thank you, Rebecca. Appreciate it.